Hi Year 3, I hope you're well and that you are having a great day so far. So our learning objective for today is to understand inference again, and this is the last part of Hansel and Gretel today, and it's actually a really short part of the book. So we have a bit of a creative exercise for you to do at the very end. So success criteria 1 is I can understand inference, and then number 2 is I can use inference skills. So they're quite straightforward today in the sense of you need to understand it, then you'll be able to do it. So what I'd like you to do today is just have a think and talk to someone around you again about what you understand about inference. See if there is a kind of a definition that you can come up with, which is kind of, if someone said to you, what is inference, what would you then be able to say? So pause the video, have a discussion around you, have a look online, find things that you, if you're struggling, you can look online anyway, find some things about what your understanding of inference means. Okay, so inference is all about using evidence within the text to make assumptions on a character's thoughts and feelings, okay? So we've kind of gone through this most mornings every day this week, so hopefully you're beginning to feel quite confident with inference. So let me just make this a bit bigger. And today the part of the text is actually really short because it's the very end of the book. Okay, so what we're going to do is have a lot of discussion, a lot of pausing of the video, talking about the images and the last part of the story here. So the first thing I'd like you to do is pause the video and have a think about what you think is going on here. So I can infer that Hansel and Gretel are happy because they are hugging their dad, because you can see the two arms there from Hansel and Gretel. Okay, so what can you infer about the feelings of Hansel and Gretel first? Okay, so pause the video and come up with a sentence for me. Okay, so once you've done that, it would be then brilliant to think about the father. So what can we infer about how the father is feeling? So I can infer that the father is feeling happy because he is also hugging Hansel and Gretel. Okay, so what can you infer about how the father is feeling? So pause the video and have a bit of a think for me. Okay, so then it's also interesting because Anthony Brown, the illustrator of this book, has done all the pictures very specifically. So as you can see in the doorway here, I don't know if you can see my mouse, but on the door there you can see the sky, the reflection of the blue sky and the clouds, and that is really contrasting, which means the opposite, whereas in the house it's completely dark, isn't it? So you can see the walls here are very dark, but then it's interesting because here it is brighter, and this can kind of represent the fact that even though the father is feeling and living in the dark, there is still light once you've opened that door. And I know that sounds really quite deep, doesn't it? But it really represents his feelings. So Anthony Brown has used the image here to show that although the father is living in the dark and he's finding it a bit of a tough time, his children are now home and he's opened the door and he can see the bright light. So it probably makes him feel a lot better. Okay, so then we're going to go down to this very last part of the story here. So there is an image. This is the very last picture of the book, and there is a mouse here on the floor next to the wall, and it says, "My tale is done, see the mouse run, catch it if you would, to make a fur hood." Okay, so I'm going to kind of leave this here with you. What do you understand about that? Okay, so pause the video and just think, what does that actually mean? So this kind of represents also the idea that there's going to be another story. So my tale is done, see the mouse run. The mouse is running from tail to tail. Okay, so now I'm going to kind of explain the tasks for you. So we are looking at inference. So group 1, this is if you're not feeling too confident with inference and you want a bit more practice. So the questions are a little bit easier. So the first one is, what can you infer from the first image? So this is where we would like you to write a sentence about what you can infer about either the dad's thoughts and feelings or Hansel and Gretel's at that particular time. And the second question is, what can you infer about how the dad is feeling at the end of the story? So does he feel relieved maybe that his kids are back and that he's never going to try and lose them again? Do you think he's more cautious about people that he trusts because the stepmother that he was with tried to harm his children? So how do you think he's feeling at the very end? So in order to do that, you need to put yourself in the dad's shoes. Okay, and then group 2 is if you're feeling a bit more confident with inference. So the first question is, how are Hansel and Gretel feeling at the end of the story? So I can infer that Hansel and Gretel are feeling, and this is because, and use the text to help you. And then question 2 is, what does the ending of the story mean, the final page? So what can you infer? And kind of just discuss that, but what does the ending of the story mean to you? And then we would like you to be creative, because obviously this is a very short part of the story, so if you have the time, it would be brilliant if you could create or draw. So create, you can get some materials and you can make the house, or you can draw using colours and some, like, maybe if you've got glitter or anything like that, maybe some colours and things like that, the witch's house. Okay, so what can you infer about the witch's house? So when you see it, obviously you can look at the picture from the book, but what you can either pick a room within the house, which is a bit more challenging. So it says you can either pick a room or draw it from the outside. So you can use that image from the other day to think of what do you think the witch's house looks like, considering it's made out of sweets. So you can either make it or draw it, and I said here you can use some art skills, because that would be really, really brilliant. So if you have the chance and you want to be creative, you can make the witch's house or draw it, adding lots of colours and lots of detail. So that's a bit of fun there. It's using like inference skills here. Okay, so we hope that you enjoy this, everybody. This is obviously attached at the bottom of the webpage as a PDF for you to use, and we look forward to seeing what you come up with. Bye, everybody.